Okay, so if you ever look for the Payday 2 builds on YouTube, you've probably seen a build like this. Anarchist, Izhma Shotgun, HE Judge. While there is nothing wrong with this setup, it is baffling to me that no one uses it correctly. From the biggest Payday 2 related channels to the people that no one knows. This is not clickbait either. In fact, I am telling you the way to use it more effectively right now. Switch to the Dragon's Breath ammo from Buckshot. But why would you listen to a dude with a bad microphone, you say? Because you're missing out. It may seem gimmicky, but it does the job just fine, just like the god intended. But first, let's take a look around the ammo. Almighty Dragon's Breath. Dragon's Breath ammo cuts some of your shotgun ammo, your damage, inability to equip silencer to draw less aggro from the cops, and most importantly, your gun's ability to headshot. This sounds horrible, but bear with me. In exchange, you get a fire damage that does 100 damage per second for 5 seconds, totaling to the 500 damage and stun that comes with the fire effect. Also, fire damage is just 20 damage more than the light units and shield units' total health on death sentence, making it a good choice to bring with you. It can sometimes interrupt cloakers too, but everything else is just don't dies and you can stun medics, shields and bulldozers, so they will still shoot you. This may seem like a downgrade, but it actually isn't. There's a lot of synergies that emerges from this fire effect, which does have an effect on how you make your build. Critical hits from low blow, unseen strike does work with the fire effect, giving each tick to do random extra damage. This helps against all enemies, severely wounding most, giving you or your team or your jokers you have to take care of them with ease. But there is one more problem: bulldozers. Fire damage will not cut it, so I recommend taking Overkill Ace and bringing a high damage SMG to deal with dozers. But synergies don't stop there. Perktech Anarchist works wonder with the damage over time effect from the fire, allowing you to fill your armor at an endless rate. What about Grinder? Sadly it doesn't work with the Grinder, so... Perks that replaces your Throw are also a very good choice to bring, since with decks like these, you can't bring stun grenades, which is the best thing to bring in that slot. This allows you to stun a relatively large area with ease, making it a good pick to bring and replace that utility you can't fill with your Throw. But why go through all of this when you can simply use Buckshot and done with it? It weakens you in some ways, it doesn't reliably kill. You can use Silencer to reduce the sound you make to get shot less. But in return you get stun, shield penetration, armor piercing, and it has better range. It always had a better range, even before the update 204 nerf. It feels like it has been cut a little, but it still has an amazing range, even though it is less ridiculous now. And the fire damage is guaranteed damage that anyone you set on fire will take that damage. There is no missing your shots either. Every shot you land to 20 meters is good enough to trigger the fire damage. Not to mention, since you can distribute the damage with relative ease, you will still kill a lot, just not immediately. By the way, if that's not obvious, it was just a single shot's capabilities. You still have 20 more rounds ready to go. What you are essentially doing with switching to Dragon's Breath from Buckshot with Izhma to switch weapons role of being a good close quarters gun that will deal with pretty much anything efficiently to making a medium range gun with stun and damage against groups of enemies. Longer range plus ability to interrupt enemies in a reliable way makes it more versatile than Buckshot 90% of the time. It is a more supportive gun in team game as well. Let me clarify, you are one hell of a bodyguard for your fellow heisters, so take advantage of its stun power to cover angles your teammates are not looking and watch their back. Even though it may go unappreciated by your teammates, you are still packing enough punch yourself to kill most of what you set your eyes on, provided you can keep track of the angles you cover and burn them from time to time. Just bear in mind that game is bugged, so won't count the fire kills at the end of a heist, unless you use the fixes mode, whose link will be in the description. You will still kill most of what you shoot at. Best way to use the Dragon's Breath ammo to just let the fire damage over time effect to soften up. Shooting repeatedly on a single target will result in minimal damage and waste of ammo. Best way to utilize the Dragon's Breath in actual games is splitting your attention towards different groups. You see a group, burn them, and switch the focus to somewhere else for 3 seconds and finish them with more fire or your secondary. This is, without a doubt, One of the best ways to make space, second only to a sniper rifle with grace, but that requires aim, which I don't have, and Commando 101, which requires ammo banks. However, most importantly, it lets you control the pacing of an engagement. Not to mention the most basic tactic in death sentence difficulty is to kill them before they kill you. This ammo type lets you do just that. They stop most units from killing you. Here are two builds to try it out. First of the builds is the better one of the two and aims to negate the downsides of taking fire rounds and utilizing its strengths. It is an anarchist build, utilizing fire damage over time to regain armor as fast as possible, letting you tank and armor gate as much as you can manage. Build has jokers since they are great at finishing burning groups, as well as taking aggro of you and your team's back and giving anarchists a 2-shot armor with the suit in the meantime. Too good to ignore. Leaving the berserker off since damage is enough and extra health can let you survive sniper shots without dying instantly. Painkillers to help any teammate that is rocking any armor that is not suit, letting them escape with ease. For the secondary, I will be using CR805B, but the other high damage SMGs also work, with Greencore being better at the job of bulldozer removal because of its higher fire rate, but I like CR805B because it is a slick looking gun and I like using it. Or Tatanka for its better ammo economy. This build covers all the strengths and weaknesses of choosing this utility. Jokers for drawing less aggro, a good high damage secondary for dozers and snipers, as well as further support skills such as Inspire to make it as supportive as possible while giving you the damage, utility, and survivability that you need for higher difficulties. But the build itself is not that optimized. I did took parkour aced, but it is a preference thing. Speed boost is not that useful in suit, and running it all directions is preference, so you can drop parkour and inner pockets basic for optical illusions aced and unseen strike basic for more crits. Just use the one that suits you the most. Plus it is easier to use than most of the other anarchist builds you can find it out there. Now the second build is not that good and I don't actually recommend you to use it since it's far from perfect and there are better hacker builds out there. This time I am using a pistol to delay bulldozers even faster since pistol with pistol skills have higher DPS than SMGs, thanks to the rate of fire buff that came with the update 204. I like using first aid kits with this setup since fire damage is not guaranteed kill to regain health with hacker, but if you can manage your ECM timings right, you may be better off with medic bags instead. Also remember, just because you can kill dozers really fast with pistols, you still need to be careful since this build is much less practical and you can die fast because of lack of jokers, hostage taker, and lack of support skills. Hell, there is not even a single drill skills to even repair it fast enough. It has Inspire, but it is not enough because of lack of painkillers. If you're going to revive someone, clear the area first and revive them to give them a chance to escape back to safety. With both of these builds, I recommend going for the head regardless. Even though Dragon's Breath rounds don't do headshot damage, they still trigger bullseye skill, letting you armor gains. Izhma with Dragon's Breath is a very powerful setup for many different builds that you can utilize. I recommend experimenting yourself further to find what suits you. While it is a powerful setup, it is not reserved for Izhma specifically. Nearly every shotgun can benefit from it. Most common ones that people use are Locomotive 12 gauge, Grim 12 gauge, Judge, and Claire. If it is so powerful, why people not using it much? Firstly, most people don't know. Secondly, to the people that do know, they consider a cheesy tactic that makes the game too easy. Well, it really is not. You gave away the practical utility of buckshot for practical utility and support and ease of damage distribution, which is a fair trade-off in my opinion. Not to mention, there isn't much support weaponry in the game that lets you control the space, and even less options for hampering status effects. You either spawn cap with whatever you have, or use spammy Dragon's Breath shotgun. This game is really hard, especially on higher difficulties, so having a teammate with Dragon's Breath is highly valuable. That being said, multiple people using Dragon's Breath and shooting at the same group is wasted potential, so either have one person with this weapon or split your sidelines. Well, the thing is that Izhma with buckshot isn't exactly bad, but buckshot is better reserved for these two memes. Wow, this video took really long time to make. Who would have thought that talking semi-coherently over a collection of pixels is that difficult? This was the first time I ever tried something like this, and I want to keep doing it, hopefully improving in the process. I do want to cover the ammo wax as well, since, it is a piece of equipment that very underutilized. Anyway, let me know what you think about in the comments, since the channel is really small and I will end up reading all of the comments you guys posted. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully see you next time. Adios.